Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome for a special review for the brand new Sponge album, Electric Cattle Gods, The Lost Tracks. This just came out on November 14th of 2025. It is in a jewel case. I'm very excited about that. Too many albums coming out in digipacks these days, but getting a jewel case here. It's a collection of demos from before the band was signed, but there's also two brand new songs on it. So you're getting a really nice cross section of the band. I'm going to get into the whole thing here, break it down, do a full review and unboxing of this album in just a bit. But before we start, if you're new to my channel, you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on cool things like this. We're talking about the brand new Sponge album, Electric Cattle Gods. So the band itself formed in 1992, though they wouldn't release their debut album, Rotting Pinata, until 1994, having two breakthrough songs on it, Plowed and Molly, 16 Candles. Both of those songs helped the album to ultimately reach gold status in the US, 500,000 copies, 500,000 copies. Certainly a nice achievement for their debut album. With that, though, the band had recorded material beforehand, and that's what's turning up on this album here. A bunch of songs that didn't make the debut album. And one of the cool things is the title of this, Electric Cattle Gods, was actually the original name of the band before they changed it to Sponge. And at least as the story goes, they were playing a show. They called up the place, or the place called them, asking them, your name to put on the marquee, and they didn't have enough letters to spell out Electric Cattle Gods. So they said, what about Sponge? They said, sure, we can do that. And that's how they took the name Sponge. If that's really the story, that's kind of crazy to go from Electric Cattle Gods to Sponge. And I don't know which one would have done better for them, but ultimately they did have success as Sponge. And now, sort of as a bringing it full circle, paying tribute, homage, if you will, to their original name, that's what this is called here, Electric Cattle Gods, The Lost Tracks. And so 13 tracks on the album itself, 9 songs that did not make the debut. And that's really what I like about this. It's not just a demos album in the sense of all the same stuff we've already heard. There's 9 songs that didn't make that debut. And if you love the debut as much as I do, you're gonna love this release here. Now, there are 2 alternate editions of songs that did make Rotting Pinata. Molly, 16 Candles. It's a demo version of it, and it shows that they already had the real roots of what that song was going to be. It's just as classic sounding in the demo format as it ultimately becomes on the album. And then the song Drowning. And that one has a string mix, so it's a very different kind of ethereal vibe to it than what was on the album. So you do get those two as well. And as I mentioned at the top of this when we started, there's 2 brand new songs with the current lineup. Wet Brain, which is the first single off of the album. Really enjoyed that myself when it came out. But the second song, the second new song, Desert Low, is my favorite of those 2 songs. And that one being a very good song. We'll talk a little bit more about it when we get into breaking down some of the songs on here. The album, as I mentioned, does a really nice job of bringing things full circle for the band, having their first recordings on it, some alternate versions of what turned up on their album, their most popular album, then 2 new songs from the current lineup they have today. Really brings things full circle for these guys. And listening to that early material from 1992 next to the brand new stuff of 2025, and I gotta say, it's pretty amazing how it all works together. The key in all of this, in my opinion, in the material and the performances, is frontman Vinny Dombrowski, who sings with as much energy today as he did back in 1992. So there's none of that energy lost across all these tracks. Oftentimes, that very early material that's raw when the band is hungry and got a lot of energy behind it, and then, 20 plus or more, no, 33 years on from it. Man, blows my mind a bit. To hear the frontman still singing with that kind of vim and vigor and energy, I really enjoy. Vinny's certainly doing that. So props to him. And the new lineup of the group as well. So not just Vinny, Vinny being the only original member of the group from that 1992 era. So he's still here, of course, on vocals, been there since 92. Kyle Neely on guitar has been there since 2003, and Andy Patalon also on guitar since 2003. So those guys have been there for 22 years now, sort of holding down the fort, if you will, giving the band a very, very good sound. We have Tim Patalon on bass from coming in 2009, and Dave Coughlin on drums coming in 2021. And so that's the current lineup. But I think they do a great job, the whole band, including Vinny, on those two new songs. And it really makes me excited for the future of the band and where they're going in the next full-length album of all new material. But let's talk about a couple of those standout tracks. Track one, In the Name of God, fantastic opening track, and a real wonder as to why this one did not make the debut album. It literally is good as anything on the debut album and just immediately jumps out to me and makes this much more than just a collection of demos by how good not only this song is, but a lot of the other ones on here. Track two, Velocity 555. This one here is a slower, more groove-oriented track. It's got a lot of feeling in it, and I like these kind of songs that add sort of the valleys in the peaks. I always think of the peaks as the big rockin' songs that just charge, that knock you over kind of thing. That's what that opening number, In the Name of God, is. And then you get this. This is where it comes down into the valley. It slows down a bit, but it really enhances when the rock songs hit later on. Track 10, Desert Low. This is one of the new ones, and my favorite of the two new ones. This is a mid-pace slinky rocker. I think it easily could have appeared on the debut. That is just how good this song is, and I don't know whether they tried to write in the style of the debut or not, or this is just where they're at today, but this song proves how good that the current lineup is and what they can do just like the original band did. And I think it's definitely worth giving the band a shot today based on how good a song like this is. And as I said, could, in my opinion, appear on their debut album. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is the front cover. As I mentioned, Electric Cattle Gods, that title being the original name of the band. But below it, it announces it as the Lost Tracks, and that's what this is. Kicks off with 8 of those unreleased songs from 1992 before it gets into the 2 brand new songs. At number 9 is Wet Brain, number 10, Desert Low. Then we get track number 11, Molly 16 Candles, a demo. Track 12 is Drownin' String Mix, so an alternate version, and it finishes out with the song Gal, another unreleased demo song. But the way that it works through on all of that just flows like a really good album. And this is what we get on the inside. Pop this out. It was actually upside down, so I'm going to flip it around real quick and just show it to you the right way. Because I was listening to this before doing the review here. That's just how good it is. And in fact, I'll say that I wasn't necessarily planning on doing a review, except that I just enjoyed this album so very much. Not a lot in the way of the booklet, unfortunately, but it does go through and say who's playing on the tracks, that kind of stuff. So that's what we get in terms of this, and I'd already shown you guys the back side of that. So that is the album itself, and as I said, it just really spoke to me, so that's why I wanted to do this review here. And despite this album being compiled mostly of demos, the album feels like it stands on its own, and that's ultimately what I walked away with and why I wanted to do this review for you, because the material stands on its own. It can easily be considered another album by the band. This is not just throwaway demos the way some of the stuff that you get from bands, and it's not a regurgitation of things that have already been released. We're getting a bunch of tracks on here that have never seen the light of day, and those in and of themselves are very, very strong tracks. I think the material on this actually beats out the band's second studio album, Wax Ecstatic. That one was a little too eclectic for me. I really wanted to like it, but I just couldn't. The albums that came out after it, I think, have been much, much better. This one here, had they taken some of these songs, I think, and put them on that album, I actually think the second album would have done better for the band. But of course, hindsight is always 2020. Um, there's you know, really good standout songs on here, and these quote lost tracks finally seeing the light of day. I'm loving these tracks. I'm recommending this album for Sponge fans, but I'm also recommending this album for any 90s era rock fans that just liked that sound that was the early 90s, from the 92 to 94 era. There's a lot of great bands that came out in that time frame. Brother Kane being another one, Cry of Love, right? Sponge, one of those bands that popped up in that time frame, 1994, Rotting Pinata dropped. If you like that album, you remember that album, definitely go check out Electric Cattle Gods, The Lost Tracks. I do not think you will be disappointed. All right, so there's my review of Electric Cattle Gods, The Lost Tracks from Sponge. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you've checked it out and you feel the same, weigh in, let me know, because sometimes it's just amazing how songs run under the radar, don't get released, and then 33 years on, we hear these songs and it's like, why did these never get released? And I think that is the case for this album here. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.